Hi there, everybody. My name is Sipho and welcome to another episode of MultiTalks. Now, in today's episode, I'm very excited to be speaking to the head of scripted content for the middle and mass market segment of MultiChoice SA, Tebogo Matlawa, who will be talking to us about his journey as a storyteller and, of course, the important partnership that MultiChoice has with the Joburg Film Festival happening on the 11th to the 16th of March. Tebogo Matlawa, welcome to the MultiTalks conversation, my brother.
Thank you for having me, Sipo.
Lovely, lovely. So you and I have quite a lot to talk about today, but more specifically the Johannesburg Film Festival, which is happening in March 11 to 16.
Yes.
But before we get there, let's just talk a bit more about your background and your uprise through the MultiChoice ranks.
So I joined the business 2014, 11 years ago. Not damn, I've been here for long. And I joined as a royalty analyst. It's ironic, I started in the Mnet Movies department, where I joined as a royalty analyst working on independent films, independent Hollywood films. Done a couple of those. We were doing cinema releases, box office releases. And that's when the content bud bit me, because as the title would indicate, I came in for a totally different role as a royalty analyst, coming from a law background, is where I came from. And I got bit by the bug there. I've had numerous roles. I moved on to be a content specialist, then became a content and pre-sales acquisition specialist. I then became a commissioning editor. Became a senior manager. And now I'm in the role that I currently occupy as head of scripted, as head of department at the scripted content for LMS.
Yeah. You know, there's a common theme with most of the people that I've interviewed on the show where you can quite see the investment and time that MultiChoice puts into their talent, right? And you being one of the people who've come through the ranks, etc. Is that a culture that is quite prevalent within the MultiChoice ranks?
I think it's a massive culture. If you go to our long service awards, if anyone has ever been to our long service awards, I think we need to capture these people live for 35 years there, but it's the biggest long service awards you've ever seen in corporate SA, dare I say. And that is just testament to the culture of MultiChoice. You can be at a celebration where you have 300 employees celebrating 10 years and 300. I mean, there's so many of us now that, like you said, on the 35 year, that now 30 years is a special milestone, whereas most companies been there for 10 years. It's like, oh, you're part of the batch.
That's crazy.
So I think it's a testament to MultiChoice and how it nurtures and maintains its talent.
Now, you mentioned something quite interesting, which is what I want to touch on now. So someone coming from a legal background.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess, from a legal background, you guys are quite creative in telling stories, right? But why content? How did that how does that work for you?
So it ironically works quite well, as you kind of put it. You tell a narrative in law. You are presented with a particular set of facts, and you have to interpret them within the law to tell a narrative of whether this should apply or that should apply. It's no different to how you tell stories. You're presented with a world of story, which is your law, your sense of fact, and you have to tell a narrative that will be compelling, moving, and passionate, and land and resonate with the audience which you are trying to relay your message to. But how it happened is, like I said, I was working with a lot of content. It was a lot of touch-based content where in that department that I worked with, I had the opportunities to read scripts. So what we done is we actually bought content before the content was made. So people think you would buy Hollywood movies when they're made, but that's not how it works in Hollywood. They actually sell movies and raise funding of movies based on scripts and sales decks and so forth. So embracing with that content, and you had to make a decision of whether this was going to be a dope movie or not based on who's attached to it by reading the script. And this movie had actually not been made. So that kind of nurtured my skill of learning content and what works, working with marketing, doing cinema releases, you got a sense of what movies sell, what movies don't sell, what movies make great Oscar movies, because there's some movies that are made specifically for the purpose of entering Oscar movies. And you discuss that and you know that and you get a sense of what's high commercial, what would move a jury like an Oscar jury. So that was kind of where the, like I said, the bug bit and the love of content happened all those many years ago.
And now, as the head of content, scripted content for the middle and mass market in SA, tell us more about that strategic role, what it entails.
So it is indeed that it's strategic in nature, and my task is to foresee and forecast the next wave of television. Right, what I should be doing is have the strategy and the foresight to what's going to resonate within the next 3 years and make it now, and keep MultiChoice ahead of the curve in terms of storytelling. MultiChoice has worked very hard over the years to be the number one Africa's best love storyteller, and we all know the competition that is trying to come and take our spot. So my strategic role is to ensure MultiChoice is ahead of the curve in that, and tell stories that are relevant, resonant, and are for the future, without predicting the trend before the trend happens. Is my strategic role and responsibility about what audiences are going to want to watch before they know that's what they're going to watch. And a lot of it comes where we'll put out a show and people will be like, this is so resonant. And it feels like we shot it yesterday or developed it yesterday, but it's a pitch we've been working on, because we've been working on for the past two or odd years. And that's my strategic role within in the business, to make and curate a content slate that keeps us ahead, resonates with our audiences, and is keeping MultiChoice one step ahead at all times.
And obviously now, from a viewer's point of view, look, we do get compared, right, quite a lot to obviously to our other competitors, right?
Yeah.
In your view, what is it that keeps us ahead, right? That's sounding.
What keeps us ahead is because we are South Africans. No one can tell our stories like we tell. We connect with our audiences in a way that is not superficial, that is not artificial, that is rooted in our 30 years of having engaged with them and provided them with content. So as the saying goes, local is lacquer. It's not a sideshow or a gimmick. So we tell our stories better because the stories are told by us, with us, for us, and that's what keeps us ahead of the game.
All right, now let's talk matters of today. Is Johannesburg Film Festival, right? And the partnership with MultiChoice. It's a partnership that's been there for quite some time now. The festival itself, it's in its 7th year this year. Just tell us about the common goal and why this partnership with the Johannesburg Film Festival.
Yeah, look, it's always important to showcase our talent and showcase what we can do and how we do it. And the importance of that is that this is a festival that celebrates not only South Africa, even though the name says Johannesburg Film Festival, but it's an African international content. And it aligns with the values of MultiChoice, because MultiChoice is an African business, even though it has a lot of its roots squarely in South Africa as where it starts from. But it's an African business. As you're well aware, we have multiple 54 channels around the country operating in almost all the regions except the Arabic of the continent, in I forgot how many languages we actually make content in across. So that alignment of a partner that sees Africa for what it is, a festival that sees Africa for what it is, and us with our truly African identity, I think it was just a synergy that would work well.
Yeah, and look, because it's rightfully mentioned, it's a continental festival, you're right. But what are the benefits for South Africa, and more specifically the host city Johannesburg from a tourism point of view?
Yeah, look, having people come in is always beneficial to tourism. Having people come all over the world, use the resources that are available within the city, and any hype of activity is important. And festivals like this also create employment, be it temporary, but it's an economic boost that gets into the network. So it's a all well-rounded thing for us economically, but it's also a platform for creators around the continent to connect. Africa is a very, very large continent, and it's not one you can easily travel through its sheer magnitude and size. Unlike Western Europe, where people can go to 4 countries in one day, correctly, at quite a limb. Traveling Africa is quite expensive, and so festivals like this give an opportunities for creative around the continent to assemble under one banner, which is film, and to celebrate that.
And now let's talk more about your direct involvement in the festival itself.
Yeah, so as obviously a partner with the festival and a strategic partner over the years, we've been working with the team, the festival director and organizer Tyron and Nkandla and Tim and the team, to curate a festival that will have meaning and impact, and it's not a festival for the fact of being a festival. So a lot of my involvement was helping with the curation of the talks, the panels, making sure they're insightful and meaningful. It was an entirely different panel that screened the movies. I will not be a judge at the festival, but it was more to create around the program, the JB's program, and my job was along with having a collaboration to see how we can have a meaningful and impactful festival.
All right, so another great platform to showcase some of our own originals, more specifically the Showmax originals.
Yes.
Tell us about that those premieres.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, a call was made at the Johannesburg Film Festival for first-time feature film directors, right? And the call was specifically for first-time directors that would be paired with experienced producer to produce, but it was director, submit proposal. So we made the call at the festival 2 years ago, and it was open to entries around the whole continent. We had numerous submissions, as you can imagine. And through going over them over a year, we managed to whittle them down to the 7 festival movies that we made. Kites, Better Love You, and the others that will be there. And this is a culmination of 2 years of work, because then once we had the concept, we went into writing and developing them. We had one interesting movie where the director was Nigerian based, but he wanted to tell a South African story. And he flew. He stayed in Johannesburg for like 3 months as we shot the film. And that just shows the sentiment of bringing, Africa together under the umbrella of filmmaking. Yeah. And along with Urban Brew, who was the supervising producer on these 6 projects, we managed to shoot the projects. They looked very good. The first-time directors really went out and made something beautiful. And they will be premiering at the festival where they were essentially birthed 2 years later. So that's a nice testament with that. So we have 6 movies premiering, and after that, they will then find a home on Showmax, Africa streamer, after that.
And now just tell us more about that selection process, right? And I think this is also something we can touch on in how does MultiChoice go about selecting any, work to be commissioned?
Yeah.
What do you look for? And what channels can upcoming producers utilize?
Yeah, so the process actually, even though it was a competition made at JFF, followed, ironically, our submission process, because the call was made, but people had to submit on Mnet's submission portal, which is where all our submissions go through. And once they go there, they're assessed by a panel of individuals. And what we look for, and it's not an exhaustive list, just for clarity, we look for movies that are unique, one, that have resonance, relatable, interesting and compelling characters, and an interesting world of story that will make viewers resonate. So the panel assesses the submission based on that premise, to say, is this a movie that we feel through our experience will have an impact on anyone who's worked in the house will know that art, people like to say art is not a science, but art is a learned science, right? It's not a science in terms of engineering or a chemical, but there's a method to the madness. And with extensive research that we do, and from what we've done and what we're looking forward to, we kind of have a good sense that this proposition will go into the real. So that's what we look for when we look for our concepts, and it's broader than the JFF submissions, just as a general principle, how we're always looking for submissions in the business.
Okay, great. And now just for the producers, right, and I guess the teams that are involved in these movies, right? There's a great benefit in terms of your movie being showcased at the festival itself. But what other benefits are there? I mean, what else happens to these movies?
So, like I said, besides being streamed on Showmax, which is not a besides thing, it's a very important thing, and possibly and give them access to other work opportunities, because the requirement was that it was their first. So these are people who have CVs that are, if you read them, read thin, right? Because they were emerging, it was first time. But projects like this, the hope is that it opens them up to other opportunities to create more work and put out more interesting companies. So I think it's a great career, a launch pad for them, and hopefully it's names that will grow to be stalwarts within the industry.
And now, just besides, the showcasing of films at the festival, on a program side, what other activities are involved throughout this festival?
So we have a combination of panels. We've got master classes. We've got a youth and a youth program that helps talenting. We have MTF Day, which is MultiChoice Talent Factory, a day which, where we highlight the luminaries that have come through MultiChoice and the work they've done. So it's a well-rounded, and screenings. We have screenings of numerous movies. What would a film festival be without screenings? Numerous screening of short films, docu-features, feature films, and then there are some movies that will be in competition at the festival, for awards later that will happen at the end of the day. So it's a time not only to engage and talk, but to actually visually see the work that's been put out, and it's content from around the continent in various languages. Like I said, as much as it says Johannesburg, but this is an international African festival. So it's a time to engage, a time to view, a time to be inspired. A lot of creators, you speak to them, all can reference work that made them, inspire them to want to be a part of the industry. And we're hoping festival like this which is open to the public, by the way, allows people to come and inspire them in whatever work of art that they do.
And just from, like, I guess, some of the success stories, right, that come from there, even if, not directly linked to the JFF itself.
Yeah.
We look at the MultiChoice Talent Factory, right, and how that incubation program becomes like a feeds the pipeline, right,
Yes.
of upcoming film producers, more especially commissioning editors also.
Yeah.
We've seen come through those ranks.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that.
So, like I said, we'll have the likes of Temba, who is the director of the much talked about LLT, Yanging's director on the river. He'll be giving a tour. The likes of Nandim Kize came out of the program. Tanashe, who sits in my team, who's a commissioning editor, came from that role, along with Sibonele Dlamini, who's also in my team, came from that. We have an alumni who won, I think it was 2 years ago, Starkhan Gimpatelo, who won a Rising Star Award at the festival, and he's also an alumni. One of them produces the platform we're speaking on, and it's one of those very important things that MultiChoice has put forward. So we pride ourselves in that we're creating a pipeline of future industry leaders and authorities in that. So in behind screen and on screen in various shapes of things. So it's just testament of what we want to do.
And why should future entrepreneurs and film producers get involved in this program, the Joburg Film Festival?
Look, anyone who knows this industry knows that you need to put yourself out there to get work, right? No one is going to come find you at home. This is a very network based industry. And if people don't know about the dope stuff you do, no one's gonna hire you, right? And know what? We work long hours on sets. We work, so people like to engage with people they know. So this is a chance to network. You never know if your next collaborator, your next co-owner of your business is someone you're gonna meet at here, or just like I said, opening your mind and inspiring you to another thing. So networking is important. Getting to know what's happening is important. Getting to know what people actually want to work and do is important. If you've ever listened to any of the talks I've given, I always talk about that there's like this bridge, this gap. It's not even a gap; it's a bridge, a whole way where there's a discourse from varsity graduation to the real workforce, and things like this help map, and that's what we do the MTF for, right? To actually get people industry ready.
And what would you say are some of the challenges that you're faced with, putting this festival together?
Look, festivals are not tough. The biggest challenge has been, in my view, and where I was involved, because I really couldn't. I'm sure there were operational matters in terms of logistical and all of that, but where my involvement was, is that there's sadly been a decrease in the number of movies that are being made, feature films that are being made on the continent.
And it's an economic thing, or
It's an economic thing. I mean, it's due to the decline of cinema, right? And that's an international thing. I mean, I have the number. I just don't want to quote the wrong number. Yeah, about how the percentage of drop of cinema releases of movies worldwide, and it's become so. So curating content has been one of those difficult stuff. Uh, as a film festival, as someone who works in both film and television, I think the rise of television has gone up incredibly, especially with the advent of streamers, where blockbusters now went straight onto your TV and they don't go to cinema anymore. So festivals are there, but there's still movies being made, which I'm happy about, and there's still movies being gone. So I would say that was kind of a challenge for me in terms of movies. I think we need to make more movies. We don't have enough South African movies playing in our cinemas. Anyway, I think last year, and I stand to be corrected, I think only 2 local movies, and I'm actually right. I know I'm right. Actually, 2 local movies released last year on cinema.
that's quite sad.
Yeah, and the rest were international movies. So that was but a lot of made for stream and made for TV movies were made. So I think, as much as I say 2 for that, I need to indicate that on the other bucket there was hell of a lot of movies that were made for stream and made for TV that were actually produced. So that is what I would think was that.
So now, Tebogo, just talking about the decline of film production, right? You spoke about the 2 films that are in cinema last year, but so why is it still important for us to keep investing in film festivals?
Look, film festivals are entirely important and relevant, and are needed in the industry. Film was born before TV. It's almost like birth that it's the Godfather. And I'm gonna say something where people, and I get crucified for saying this, is that we need to take commercials considerations when making stuff. This is called show business. There's a business aspect to it. And the key to it is making commercially viable projects in the cinema. People still go out to cinema. So as much as I'm saying there were 2 South African films there was South African box office that done well. But unfortunately, it was there to attend international movie. So festivals like this are important to remind our viewers that they are good, commercially viable movies that are being made and should continue to be made. Because once a reception of a commercial film like this happens at a cinema, at a festival, it shows that it can transcend to the box office and to commercial consideration. So it's a thing, and people sometimes amend me for saying it, but we need, for the business to survive, the business must make money. And that's why festivals like this are important, so that they can see that making a commercial film doesn't mean making a fluffy film, or a film without substance, or a film without any true meaning. But it just needs to be a film that people can ingest and digest. So festivals like this allow us to showcase those movies that both have meaning and have commercial consideration. So that's why film festivals like this should continue.
And now just looking forward, right, to the future, what more will come from this partnership with the Joburg Film Festival?
Look, what what would come, we would hope a program like what we just came for would come, where actual content is made, where it's not a talk shop, and there are real tangibles that come out of it. We always like to engage with new people, new producers, new ways of doing stuff. Like it's a various panels that discussion. There will be panels about VFX, special effects, how AI works in the thing, and that the industry moves forward. I think after everything like that, like these things that we attend, like all industry programs, what I like to see, me personally, next year, is it showing on screen that there was a change, there's a move, there's a development in how South African and African television is being made. So the takeout is always to keep getting better. I mean, we have the potential. Africa is the home of stories, and really realizing our full potential on an economic basis, because this is show business. That this becomes a viable career for many boys and girls that want to enter it. So that's my hope, that those things will keep on developing.
Yeah. And just looking at like the current landscape, right, when it comes to, just film and television, what more can be done from a collaboration point of view, right, on the African continent?
Yeah, I think, and people, when they hear collaboration, in my view, they really misunderstand it as in like put everyone in one movie. In the movie, there must be someone speaking Hebrew, and that's not that. Collaboration comes in various forms, and I think MultiChoice shows that how we collaborate. So with us in the content hub where we work, we collaborate very well with our counterparts on the East, West, South, in terms of getting together and passing skills, right? Collaboration could be, at Nigeria, you guys make amazing wardrobe. I'm giving an example. And collaborate with someone in the East to say, this is how we develop and how we approach makeup and wardrobe in the thing. South Africa, you guys are great on camera skills and technical skills, and collaborating to say, look, maybe on the West, that still needs to be developed. What can we help you develop with in that sense? So skills sharing and skills transfer is so important, because you find out skills are then developed in isolation in different pockets, and they never come together in one project. So talking, learning skills, new tools of the trade that happen, tech wise, acting wise, budgeting wise, shooting process wise, and that's the collaboration. But every time when you speak about collaboration, let me not say every time, because I mean it's a bit hard, but a lot of time when when people put collaboration, they always think about it on screen. Let's get an actor from the East and actors from the West, someone from the South, and that's collaboration.
Yeah.
And I don't see it as that. It's really a matter of transferring skills and know-how that are strong in the various regions and getting better in doing that.
I'm just going to put on my independent producer hat for 2 seconds. That is 2 questions. One being the content hub itself, right? So if I'm an independent producer and I want to start, working with MultiChoice, what are the different types of deals, right, that are available from that side?
So primarily our business model is commission based. We commission, I'd say 98% of the shows we make, which means we put the money up front and we fund that. We then have co-productions, where the likes of Trackers came from, Blood Psalms, Love and Recipe from Disaster, Spinners, they were popular Spinners. So those are co-productions where the independent producer raised money along with us and put that money into the production. And then there was rights being split, distribution platforms, and so forth. And then we have good old licensing, where the producer would have completely funded the proposition on themselves and then license it to MultiChoice for a period of time and for a set fee. So those are broadly the three business models that an independent producer would have when engaging with us.
Okay, and then the advertiser funded.
Oh yes, thank you. It's just we do very little of that in scripture.
Yes.
So there's advertisers. We actually do none of it. There's advertiser funded which exist in the reality and entertainment space, where someone would have a certain brand, would raise money for a show which would inevitably highlight that particular brand's whatever they're trying to sell, whatever messaging they come out, and that exists predominantly on the reality and entertainment space. So we also have AFPs. Thanks for reminding me.
So now,
Don't do that.
last question: as an independent producer, how do you deal with some of the social commentary and the criticism around shows like adulting, where we kind of like pushing the boundaries a bit more, etc.?
Yeah, look, criticism is if you don't like criticism, you shouldn't be in this industry. That's the core of it. So criticism is good, but that's the thing with boundaries, right? When you push a boundary and go to a new space, it's uncomfortable because no one has been there. So when you have people talking about your show, it's a good thing. The worst thing that could be happening is people not talking about your show, right? So we welcome the criticism and we understand, just like most things in life, there will be shows people like and people don't like, and for their various reasons. But the important thing is to make content that has people talking, correct, and engaging and having conversations around topics. So when we make a show like that, we're quite happy with that, with ourselves. And it indicates that it struck a nerve in society. It was resonant and had a topic. So we welcome the criticism. It was a new thing in South African television. And like I said earlier in our talk, it's about making content they didn't think they needed to watch before they knew they needed to watch it. And that is our job.
It's good marketing.
Yeah. So we need to do that.
You are the second guest who comes from Limpopo on the show, right? So for that young boy, young girl in Limpopo watching you right now,
Yeah.
how would you like to, to inspire them?
Keep going. You're from the province with the smartest people anyway. So it's like, keep no, but on the real, I want to just tell them, keep going. No one should ever tell you education is not important. Education is important. Drill down on I hate this. Like there was a phase that came in where people were like, education is not important.
Yeah.
Keep going. Opportunities, discipline. I think a lot of people lack discipline. What decisions you make today do have an impact tomorrow. There's certain things you're going to have to deprive yourself of today to see the benefits in the long term. So as you're going, work hard, but always have discipline and don't give up.
Tebogo Matlawa, we've come to the end of our discussion. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. And thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you very much for having me.
Much appreciated.
Thank you, Siri.
Hola.
Always.